Hi, I'm back again. I'm talking a little bit about family, particularly my uncles. We all have. Well, most of us have uncles that we know of. Of course, there's most of us. Some people get adopted. There's other circumstances, but for the most part, most people have an aunt or an uncle. But in this case, I want to talk about my uncles. I want to, you know, I still have four uncles still alive. Three, I believe, three uncles still alive. Um, I had a total of five. Let's see, yeah, I believe it's five. Um, Unless I'm forgetting one. No, I believe that's five. Five uncles. Um, I still got three of them alive. Um, and they're still pretty active and doing stuff as far as I know. I really don't see them too much because I'm out in Virginia and they're in Michigan. They've been really good uncles to me. Um, when they growing up, um, they, there was a lot of times in the summer when school was out, I'd go down to my uncle's. A lot of them lived down by Lansing or whatever, because that's where toward by Lansing, because they worked at the General Motors and Fisher Body and that, and I just go down there and enjoy the summer with them. I really was been blessed with some pretty good uncles, um, and I you know one uncle. When I was probably about 15 or 14, 15, he gave me a shotgun. He collected guns and he gave me a shotgun, and I feel real bad nowadays. Now I wish I would have kept it in hindsight. And he said, you can't get rid of it till you're 18. He was probably hoping that by the time I get 18, I would grow some sense into myself and I'd keep the gun forever. And I wish I would have. Um, and if he happens to watch this video, he knows who he is. I'm sorry. I've been meaning to tell him that, for a while, and I still might every time I just don't see him very often, and but I'm gonna, let him know. One way here, I'm, I'm let him know I'm sorry. You know, um, that gun did mean something to me, still means something to me today, but evidently not enough when I was younger. After I turned 18, perhaps maybe if you'd have said you're not allowed to ever get rid of it, I probably never would have got rid of it. Um, but it was a nice shotgun. It had changeable barrels. I had two barrels to it. A shotgun and no, I think I had three barrels. A shotgun, or no, two. I think shotgun and then a goose. For one. I could shoot slugs out of the one. Just a regular shotgun. I think it was I want to say it was like a 12 gauge. And then I got like a longer barrel for like shooting geese and stuff. It was a very good gun. I missed quite a few, enough deer with it, when I used it for hunting. Um, but it was still a good gun. I happened to wanted a snow machine more than I wanted a gun at the time. Winter time. I just I love snow machines too. I lived in Michigan winters. It's fun to have a snow machine, go out and ride around. And I traded it for one that was. They got the better deal. Hindsight's 2020. They got the better deal. I worked on it a lot. It ran when I got it, but it still needed some work. And you know they just got the better deal. Um, just happens that way. Some people, you want something bad enough, and you want to trade. Something else. Um, you know. Oh, I got watermelon here. I didn't know if I mentioned that. I got a game. Forgot about that too. I got you. I don't even know how to Utonri, something like that. I just let's see if I can get it open. It's relatively new. I haven't really used it too much. I don't even really know how to really play it for sure. Is this kind of like for instructions? And then it has these, yeah, on this side that's flat. It's flat, sits on the table, and you got them. And then it's got this other thing, and maybe this is a board too. It's a nice little, I'm assuming it's an Oriental type game. Very, one thing I gotta say, Oriental games are very beautifully decorated and made. So, and that's very nice. I have never played it. I'm not sure how it plays. Later on, when I do tutorials on how to play games, I'll show you how to play it. But yeah, anyways, back to my I better put that back in my lap. Okay. So, I just feel bad about that. But, you live and you learn. All my uncles were, I can't say all. I believe most of my uncles like to hunt and fish. I had one uncle that died at a young age on my mom's side, and on my dad's side, I had an uncle that died at a rather younger age. That's on my mom's side of the family, 5 uncles, and then on my dad's side of the family, I had 3, I believe, 3 uncles, and none of them are alive now. My dad's side of the family. But so most of my aunts and uncles, I got one aunt. Well, I'll talk about that later about my aunts. But yeah, it's kind of I love them all, and they've been really good to me, and I've learned a lot from them over the years. They've put their foot down at me when they needed to. That happens, and maybe I needed it whenever. I can't remember all the time, but they were a little stern sometimes. But hey, sometimes your relatives need to do that to teach you proper, just to teach you proper etiquette, even, I don't know, just whatever, just as long as, for the most part, it's a good learning experience. Anyways, I love my uncles, and, they did a lot for me as I grew up. Anyways, I'll talk to you later.